the work we do is important, and the fact that we have people that believe in us and fund us is really great. So that having been said, I'm going to take a sip of my drink, and I'm going to hand over now to the first of our speakers from our adventure playgrounds. Can we start with Candice, Max Roach, if Candice is ready for that? A couple of minutes to hear what you were up to during the lockdown and post-lockdown.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. I'm Candice, manager of Loughborough Community Centre. We're based here in the Max Roach Adventure Playground and 1 O'Clock Club. I was wondering if I was able to share my screen. Can I do that?
Chrissy?
If not,
I'm just checking for you.
Thank you.
Bear with me 2 seconds. I might need to make you host. 1 sec.
Oh, you become a
Don't
host.
worry if not.
If I make you host, I think you can.
I love your.
If you could just pass it back to me.
This is our flagship spot. Very bright. Just because our connection doesn't reach to our garden, which is the centre of attraction. I think
Candice,
I'm on
have you
now.
got ability to share screen now? Yeah, okay. If you just pass it back to me, the host, that'd be great afterwards.
So Loughborough Community Centre took over the Max Roach Centre in 2013. And it started off with us taking over the 1 O'Clock Club. So we're very lucky to have both sides to our building now. And that means we can create activities for children 0 right through up to their youth. Children actually just don't like to leave us. So we're always trying to think about how we can extend our activities further. Loughborough Community Centre was created by local residents. We've got the structure of a charity, and it was as a positive outcome to the Brixton riot. So the organisation is going to be 40 next year. And I'm really, really proud of saying that, because it's a momentous moment to get to, because many of the fellow organisations that were set up in that time are no longer here. So we provide a range of activities. Our primary service is a preschool for children 2 to 4. Being located in the most deprived ward of Lambeth means we have a high intake of people who are living in disadvantaged circumstances. So alongside our holiday play, we're lacking, I'm going to say that, because we haven't been able to quite manage to deliver a full programme of player-based activities, but we focused our efforts primarily on the holiday time. But we do work with a range of partners throughout the week prior to the pandemic. So we was delivering free football sessions, coaching, training, anything that could make the space be open for the benefit of the local community. We tried to incorporate, but partnership working is very challenging, but it's an ongoing process. We're quite a small team. So we have a team of 8 now. I've got a new business administrator, which I'm really, really excited about. So a very small team, primarily of preschool educators for the preschool service. But we work with sessional workers who come in the holiday to enhance our holiday play project. And that includes skill-based facilitators such as coaches, artists, musicians, anything to enhance the project. And we rely heavily upon volunteers to help make this work. Our centre is huge. We have a vast garden, and not very much money. So we rely upon parents and children getting involved to help us with the upkeep of the centre. So we know the pandemic hit us in March. Timing is important, because at the time when the pandemic, the height of the pandemic was here in March, we was planning our holiday play project for April. So parents were contacting us asking what we're going to do, what we're going to do. We didn't know what we was going to do. Everyone was a bit up in the air. The management was saying close, everywhere's closing, we've got to close. But what we recognized, our families were acting very adversely. And within the first week of lockdown being announced, we saw some significant safeguarding incidences that were happening. And we knew there and then that we couldn't just close and leave our families and children. My biggest worry was some of our children, home is not a safe place. So we need to make sure we could keep that consistent engagement with them whilst they were at home. Also, being a preschool, we was told that we had to give weekly calls to parents, and very early on, children were being left unsupervised at home. And for some families, being at home, out of view, out of contact with professional networks is an ideal situation, which we know is unsafe for local children. So we had to start thinking about what could we do during that time, knowing that we had very little money to start with prior to the pandemic. We had very little resources, and everywhere was shutting down. We was reaching out to our partners and nobody knew what they was going to do. So we had to step up, and what we, it was just a conversation. Many things happen out of the start of a conversation. A young girl who comes to our centre was complaining that McDonald's was closed and she couldn't have a Happy Meal. I said, you know what, make your own Happy Meal. Make your own Happy Meal and, you know, enjoy it at home. She says, Candy, stop being silly. I said, you know what, I'm going to make you a Happy Meal. And you know what, Happy Lunch was created just out of that little conversation. We got onto our partners. A significant partner was the Mayor's Fund Kitchen Social Programme. And they funded, they asked what was we doing at that time and what do you need, most importantly, because nobody really knew. And what we did need is access to food very quickly. We come together as a team and said, if we could get our play, if we could bring play to children's homes, that would be the ideal, because that's what we would be doing on site, is providing play opportunities alongside a nutritious meal. Let's get it to the children. As well as parents, there was lots of initiatives set up by our local authority, like the Food Hub. And what we realized is people don't say they need help. People don't really want to be in that position of asking. And some of our most vulnerable families are the first to say, I don't need this, Candice, you know, we don't want charity, when actually they need charity. So we had to package it in a way that was quite embracive and inclusive, where it's not about you, Mum, it's about your child. Your child gets an opportunity to play. So 3 times a week, we we planned to go around the local community. We identified those families that wanted to, that would have accessed our holiday play project. And we tried to focus primarily on our immediate members, and everybody signed up. The problem we had, we didn't have no money. We had very little resources. We didn't know how we could maintain it beyond the Easter period. But where there's a will, there's a way. And we put out expressions of interest to our partners. We went on a mass fundraising campaign, well, I did, in April, May. And today, I think we've raised about 100,000 in the region for our emergency response, which is amazing, knowing that we did very little fundraising for the project just because of skills, time and resources. And it's actually made us think totally, why wasn't we doing this sooner? But sometimes it just takes a pandemic to shake things up a little bit. So for our organisation, actually, it's been a very good opportunity to really raise the profile of the activities that we deliver. We was delivering about 120 meals a session, and we did it right through up until July. For those families that didn't want to engage in Happy Lunch, we was given a phone call. So we was just checking in with local people to check, how are you? Is there anything you need? And we started to really monitor what were the issues that families were facing during that time. What we did find is lots of children were left alone because families had to go to work and survive. We also saw that food and accessing basic essentials was a big problem for our families. So we kind of broadened our distribution base to include essentials. So we've got partners on board who were able to offer nappies, toiletries, all those kind of things that people were going crazy about at the start of the pandemic. So it's quite a mass scale. Even when I look in my centre now, it's full of stuff. I just want it to be a play space and it's full of stuff. It then led on. So we knew that children wanted access to play. Children were ready to come out and play and engage in their environment, knowing that many of the children were out of school for a long period of time. So we planned what would summer look like for local children. We knew we needed to reach a lot of children, but also it had to be limited in capacity. So we was able to extend our holiday play project to 4 days a week, where it was normally 3 days a week in ordinary times. The aim actually this year was to expand it to a full day service, but 4 days out of 3, you know, I think we did quite good. But it was a lot of management and coordination, very stressful time. But we was pleased that we still reached a large number of children in our local community, 155. That then was extended to the half-term holiday project. But out of it, what we was able to create is some supportive activities. So we eventually got to run our Max Roach Garden Club. So we got some funding to deliver an after-school club session to keep in contact with local families. And because we don't just focus on older children, we also have things for younger children. We developed a project which was called Don't Forget the Baby. What we recognized at the beginning of the pandemic is all the efforts were not focused on children to start with. And then when it did get filtered to start thinking about what are the needs of our children, younger children were being missed, in particular those new mums who didn't expect their maternity leave to be in a lockdown. So we placed some emphasis on supporting new mums with young babies under 2. Just a little bit about what the participants say. They love Max Roach, that's all I can say. This is like, I didn't realize how much they love this space until it was the time when we had to close. And I think they value our input, and that has actually given us more motivation to keep this going. It's been really tough knowing that we're not funded by the local authority. We struggle each year to keep our activities alive, but actually I've recognized now how important a space like this is, and we have to go for everything we need, that the community need, in terms of whether it's play-based activities, training and development opportunities, education. We need to start thinking on a bigger, more strategic level with our boards of how we can get the centre thriving for the benefit of the local community. Just a range of our supportive activities. I mean, it feels amazing because we never were able to put different activities up before. So when I see this, I'm like, wow, look what we've achieved in a pandemic. Imagine if we did have resources. Imagine if we had funding and people and things, what would be created in this space? So that's the aspiration. And one thing that we recognized is our approach. I mean, we are so connected to the local community. Many grandparents come through this space and bring their grandchildren, or we have children who used to come in 1981 and think, I used to come and play here. And when they come in and get that feel of it's kind of like a Swedish hut. So it's quite unique. You don't expect it in the middle of Brixton. And it brings them back to that place where they used to come when they were young. And it's quite a magical moment. We've been consistent, even though people didn't know us. We've been here delivering services. Nobody would have known about Little Loughborough Community Centre in Max Roach before the pandemic. Now we're on a really great platform to showcase all the great activities we've been doing. And we're so able to adapt and amend. The hub at the moment is kind of a distribution base, but we're still offering play. We can still offer trading opportunities. We've got activities for the younger children. It's so much more than just a play hub, but play is at the heart of what we do. And it just took a pandemic to really put play back on the agenda. I've been struggling for years to really just show play matters. You know, play is important. Just fund the play project, but we're always having to adapt it to shape a funder's initiative. And actually, I don't want to do that no more. Play is important. Play matters, and they need to keep continuing to support play for local children, because actually that was what was supportive and providing children with that therapy to overcome the trauma of what was the pandemic, or is the pandemic. I'm going to stop because I know time, and Paul said 12:15.
You did.
At Loughborough Community Centre.
Thank you, Candice. That was truly, inspirational, really. Yeah, I got a real buzz from that. Thank you so much. And I like where you said, where there's a will, there's a way.
Definitely.
I think it's more where there's a will, there is play.
I
like that one.
Thank you so much, Candice. We might come back to you in a bit at the end.
No worries, I'm here.
Okay, so we're going to head over to Gabriel at Triangle.
Hello, everyone. I'll crack on as time is pressing, but 2020 started in kind of standard fashion for Triangle. Play, and more play, as we carried on doing our normal daily sessions up until the pandemic hit. When it did hit, it was kind of a case of sort of all hands on deck to keep going, as sort of 1 or 2 staff were waylaid, but we managed to keep our sessions going right up till the first lockdown hit on the 20th. And then we had to shut the playground. And this is the last picture before lockdown, about 6 o'clock on Friday, March the 20th. So then it was at that point that our role as play workers really changed. How can we recreate an adventure playground and play service with no adventure playground to work from? How do we stay in contact with our young people and keep supporting them safely through play? So there was a lot of brainstorming amongst our very small team, similar to Candice, and we came up with a plan of sorts. First, and perhaps our most crucial move, was to set up a parent and carers WhatsApp group. So this allowed us to stay in touch with all the families and children, but also we can check on their welfare, see who needs anything that we can provide personally. The extra benefit from this was that it meant a lot of our families who maybe knew each other fairly well locally, but not personally well, they could stay in touch, and the group has kind of carried on. We've seen a lot of parents kind of coming together through our group, and a lot of good in the community coming off the back of it. And it's still carrying on to the day. So our plan, well, our security guards came to look after Triangle while we were elsewhere. And our initial plan after the WhatsApp was to open up a digital adventure playground. To do so, we decided to create a timetable that kept our children hopefully busy throughout the week with us. So initially a mix of live engagement sessions via Zoom, along with a curated play zone on our website of online activities and pre-recorded videos, challenges, games and such like. After the first week, what we seemed to realize was that the kids, more than anything, wanted to see each other and the play workers in flesh or on Zoom. So we kind of gradually shifted the videos away, pre-recorded videos away, and ended up running about 320 hours of Zooms over the lockdowns, which was fantastic and very strange and very crazy to engage with so many children in such a sort of bizarre manner. But sort of off the back of that, we had a great time doing everything from chess club, DJ parties, scavenger hunts, pretty much every Zoom game you can think of, and a lot of artwork, growing plants together, exercise classes, a girls only session, like computer game sessions, kind of anything they want to do that we could make happen. And anything was kind of anything in the Zoom as far as we were concerned. As long as it was fun and they were enjoying and engaged, it worked well. So the Zoom was up and running and we were kind of cracking on with that over the course of summer from April onwards. And the next stage, oh, there's some more lovely artwork from our Zoom sessions, as you can see. So the next stage for us was to create our own play packs. This is prior to knowing that London Play were coming up with such a brilliant idea as well. So we created our own, I think, 100 play packs, lots of bits and bobs, fun, toys, all that kind of good stuff. And these are really great. And they, you know, it was really good to be able to go and hand deliver these. So it was a chance for us to go as staff to see the children in person, even if it was on the doorstep, which I think had a really positive impact. And then, you know, soon after we started these, we heard from London Play about their ones, which was another fantastic chance to do the same to another 200 of our, well, another 100 of our children. So in total, we managed to hit 200, which was great. I think for us, the play pack, the London play packs, the bandanas were a massive, massive hit. Like everyone was like, oh, you know, they'd open the box and the first thing, oh, the bandana. And you can see it proved the winner. Following that, or sort of concurrently with that, we realized through the Zoom sessions that quite a lot of our families lacked or there was a discrepancy in the digital and online access for some of our families and children. So the next stage was to try and help those who wanted to join the Zoom sessions or who had to join the Zoom sessions or had connection problems or it wasn't really happening for them. So we went and got a grant to provide, I think, 25 tablets and 25 mini Wi-Fi boxes. So for that, we could then go to, the play packs were great, but some of our older users, because our age range goes from 5 to 17, some of the 15, 16, they're not so fussed about the toys and so much, but for them, this was a really good thing, not only on a schoolwork front, but also on kind of personal pleasure. So after the initial kind of oomph of the lockdown and the play packs and the tablets, the next big question arose, which was, what are we going to do for summer holidays? Do we carry on with a limited, do we open for summer holidays with the limited bubbles, which would then shut our online service, which was proving so successful? Or do we stick with the online and not open the playground? As you said before, where there's a will, there's a play. So we decided, let's do both. But to do so, we had to call upon two old friends of the Triangle, who I think most people in Adventure Play in London might know, Sarah Grand and John Sellers, who stepped forward. I know John's helped out on the play builds many times. So they stepped forward to allow myself and some of our regular team to stretch across both online and on site. For a lot of our children online, they want to see people they know and have the relationship with. So we couldn't bring in new staff to work the online. So it was a case of stretching our little team across, but it worked really well, I think. And the summer itself for the children on site was fantastic. Having been cooped up for so long, with a chance to get out, we did a lot of bushcraft, water play. We're not such a massive site. We're probably the smallest adventure playground in London. And so with our hut shut, it sort of shuts down a few activities. But I think generally, speaking to the parents, to the children, it was a good summer. And, you know, even with 15 bubbles or 15 children per bubble, we still managed to sort of fill the bubbles and get as many in as possible. All in all, for a good summer of play. Following summer, we've carried on with the bubble system, and we're pleased to have been able to, pardon me, stay open continuously since then up until today. Play Havens was great in half term, as we were lucky to get some money from you guys to run a little extra session, so we could double our half term sessions, in essence having 2 bubbles of 15 rather than 1. And I think just to say about the challenges we've faced this year, they've been very varied, but probably many similar ones to Candi's. I think for us, besides these sort of obvious difficulties and the welfare of our families as a sort of organisation, I think switching from open access to a booking system and not being able to freely welcome young people has been our sort of hardest thing in many ways, both logistically and emotionally. You know, the ethos of what we do is free play, open the gates, everyone come on in. You know, it's what we all believe in as far as I'm concerned. And having to stop that, you know, having to tell a child, no, sorry, you can't come in today, we're at our limit, is probably, yeah, it's been a difficult task, I'd say. You know, in many ways, incorporating all the safety stuff it's been a pain in the proverbial, but it's not, you know, we're in the business of managing risk, so it's not such an issue. And once the system's in place, children are very happy to do the questionnaire, have their temperature checked, wash their hands. It takes a minute, they're back into play. So for us, I think it's that sense of the limitations imposed by the lockdown, or the limitations imposed by the reopening, is the most frustrating, but also kind of actually being able to reopen was an amazing, joyous experience for us and the children. And as we go into the end of the year, we've got more play packs coming, more food stuff. I think similar to Candice, we've been working with the fantastic Mayor of London, Clara's food team. So we did the lunches in the summer, lunches in half term. I think we've got Christmas lunches. So yeah, busy basically, but all hands on deck. And as you say, where there's a will, there's a play was kind of the ethos of our work this summer. And I think that's about it. I could blabber on, but I'm sure you guys have got enough.
Thanks, Gabriel. That's wonderful. Again, you know, mind blowing what the how you've managed to keep going. And by the way, we owe you a pizza party. Don't forget that.
I haven't forgotten. Don't worry. Don't worry.
He's already had theirs, and Candice as well. We owe you your prize of a pizza party as well.
It's just the difficulty of spreading the pizza across the bubbles is what we're wondering about at the moment.
You'll find a way. Where there's a will, there's a pizza party,
and there's a slice indeed.
So let's try Angela again, because we'd love to hear from Hackney Marsh.
Hi. Hopefully you can hear me.
Perfect. Hi, Angela.
Oh, I tell you, I'm having my own little pandemic here in the playground this morning. I've had the intruder alarm. I've been outside because the intruder alarm's been going off. I've had the cherry picker turn up. Now the internet's messed up. So hopefully, thank God I'm back.
Angela, do you need to share your screen?
No, I don't.
Okay, cool.
So hello, everybody. I'm Angela. I'm from Hackney Marsh Adventure Playground. We are managed by Young Hackney and Hackney Council. So going back, it seemed such a blur when the whole lockdown happened. I was actually out of the country, silly, and got stranded in Madrid. So I never got to say goodbye to any of our children or even touch base with them when we locked down. So I got back to England and had that mad panic of like, well, what do we do? And what happened with the kids and who made contact with them? And with the support of Young Hackney, we then went virtual. So we started doing lots of stuff on YouTube and doing online video calls and trying to sort of touch face to face with our children, which was a whole new spectrum of things that we had to learn really quickly, how to do editing, how to, like today, how to get on devices and things. It's not something that we sort of would naturally go to. And it's something that for years that we've been campaigning against, trying to get our children off devices. And now we're suddenly saying to them, get on a device and speak to us and do stuff with us. So we, for a very long time, with the support of Young Hackney management team, we're really canvassing to get the playground back up and running in whatever form that would be, whether it's, could we just have a bonfire and have 10 children sat around it? Let's not do play, but I need to touch base with these children and just have them in the playground for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And yeah, and had the full backing of everybody. We just couldn't get it past the corporate health and safety team. And some of the issues were, looking back in hindsight, you go, yeah, you were right, because we were just being a bit gun-ho about some of the stuff that we wanted to do. So we got the clearance finally to open up for the summer. So we were lucky. We ran a full 5 weeks of delivery, full day, but broken up into sessions. So we did a session and then a break in the middle and then a session in the afternoon. And children had to book in for those sessions. And we had over 120 children attend us over the summer, which compared to what we used to have, which was almost 120, 150 children on a daily basis, sort of makes you realise like how everything has impacted on us. But we managed, and the children that came in really within a week fell into just real ease, the new systems, the new changes, and adapted to things, and weren't complaining if certain areas of the playgrounds were closed, or that we were sort of restricting space, or the spacing out of stuff, or not having 2 swings up, just having 1 swing up. And I find ourselves now, we're in a situation where that's why we look back almost with sort of a bit of a blur of going, why were we panicking? And actually we found our feet, and we've got a really lovely pace at the moment into the playground. And at the end of the summer, right across the board with my team, we've all taken a breath and just gone, do you know what? Probably the first time in reflective in years to look back and go, we've done some really good quality play work this summer, where we were able to support a number of our children instead of just corralling children because there's 120 kids in and we're just doing first aid and running around like headless chickens, where we were able to do lots of loving care, emotional support, touch base with their families, and do what we are supposed to do as play workers, you know, really, you know, help facilitate play, not just run around and just give tools out and equipment. And we had some really lovely achievements over the summer, where I'll give you an incident where there was a young girl who's been attending the playground for 2 years, would never go on any of the swings. She was just, her fear level was just through the roof. And 4 weeks of just every day, you know, by the end of the summer, she did the zip line. And for me, that was just the biggest achievement for the whole lockdown or everything, that I managed to get this young girl, this 8-year-old girl, onto the zip line, and she wasn't scared and she enjoyed it. We were able to video it for her family to show them what she had achieved. So for us, it's all those little moments like that where you kind of, it's hard to sort of express to someone to go, that 30 seconds of that achievement for that young person is my whole story of the summer, really. And we find ourselves now that we're sort of adapted. We've done the second lockdown. We had our support group in, and we found that the support group that we've got coming in now, or the children that are coming in now, were the children that last winter came in. They're the children that probably, what we recognise, need us the most. They don't have gardens, they live in overcrowded houses, you know, so we've really, not that we're trying to exclude anybody, but really trying to address that issues of going, well, you guys have got a garden, you maybe come in once or twice a week, but these children here, they haven't got anything, let them come in 4 or 5 times a week. So we've got into a really nice pace of families sort of naturally forming into a bit of a rhythm and a pattern within the community. We've pushed the drive now in the playground, because of the whole devices and stuff like that, is really doing quite a lot of just nature-based play. So lots of fire building, whittling, digging in the mud, trying to get away from, like, we've had 3 months of being on devices, or you've been doing homeschooling online, that we've sort of really, and the swings are up, but we've really tried to sort of get down to sort of real getting dirty and just sort of nature sort of play. And one of the other positives, and I know this is, we've debated it, we used to allow parents into the playground, and over the years we had slightly become, and I've got to say, it's sort of parent heavy at times, and the exclusion of parents or adults in the playground has significantly made a huge difference to how the children have played, them getting ownership back over the space. The behaviour is different. Everything that we know about play workers, you go, right, this is it really, for me to then pitch to head office and our senior managers to go, when this is all over, I want to continue that. I don't want any adults coming past our gate from now on. But this definitely has to be taken over as a space that is just for the children that are attending, and parents can come to the gate and pick them up, but we don't want them to cross over the threshold. So that's been agreed. So hopefully once we get back, that will be another thing that I'll have to sort of navigate with the community of going, right, well now, yeah, that's great, come in, but you're just to drop off and pick off your child. And we've had some fantastic support from Young Hackney, so children who haven't been able to come into the playground because of reduced numbers. Young Hackney sports team have done alternative stuff and adapted their delivery, have really come up to speed and attended some play-based courses and stuff like that. And although they're sport, but trying to play games, take the children that aren't in the playground out into the trees outside in the park, and they've adapted their delivery as a means to supporting us, because they knew that we had quite high attendance, and now you're almost feeling guilty that we're having to turn children away at the gate when they're turning up. And sometimes I have to go further down into the playground because the guilt of just going, I can't face those children and say that they can't come in today because we're already got our maximum numbers in. So in all, although the pandemic has been challenging, there has been real positive stuff from it, for likes of that we've done some really good play work. We're going to change some of our delivery once things go back to normal, and we've just got to say just some absolutely fantastic support from Hackney Council and the Young Hackney management team, who have just all the way along sort of backed us with our ideas and our reasoning, and just sort of gone, yeah, that's you can go ahead with this. And they've trusted us as a profession to go, we know our community and we know our young people, and this is what we want to do. But that's where we are today. So we're still thriving. We're looking to open up over Christmas. We're going to be probably one of the only services in Hackney that's going to deliver any form of service over the Christmas period. And then with a view that maybe 21 is going to be a better year for us over here.
Amazing.
Thanks, Angela. You know, all three of you have really displayed why you know the energy and creativity and commitment you have to your children. It shows why your playgrounds were exceptional this year. We'd like to ask a few questions. There's a lot of love going on, by the way, in the chat for all playgrounds from people listening in. So do check that out. Now's the chance to, if there's any questions that people want to follow up with Angela, Gabriel, or Candice, now's your opportunity.
Candice, just a quick question as lunch is fast approaching, and I was very inspired by all the things you were talking about. What was in your Happy Meal?
Oh, it's not a Happy Meal. Happy Meal is trademarked. It's a happy lunch. Within our Happy Lunch, we worked with Kitchen Social, who got a food supplier. And they provided a ready-made packed lunch that usually had a sandwich or a pasta, fruit, some kind of biscuit or cake, and it all come in a lovely little handy bag. So then our job was to pack in different play resources, and that was the hardest thing, to keep the activities alive and stimulating. So we had to put in little handy stuff. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
We've just got Steve.
Hi. I just want to ask a question about the future a bit more. I mean, I think this is an amazing achievement. I mean, you all have to be so proud the way you got the funding, both for the organization as a whole and for the play centers I've just talked about. So, I mean, I couldn't praise you more. What I was just thinking of how you guys might be able to capitalize on this, the opportunities and the work you've done in the future, when obviously we may end the lockdown at some stage, but the issues it brought up in terms of deprivation in terms of the fact that many more people probably are going to be in difficult circumstances. Probably, it seems to me, does give an opportunity to put the case for play, particularly because so many children have infected this in you know, a broader context, and to just in terms of lobbying, publicity, urging, you know, again, raising the profile of play. It seems to be all the things you've done and all the things we know are going to happen is an amazing opportunity to do this. I mean, you've all done so much, and I mean, to say to do more in terms of lobbying or publicity, of course, is a huge ask, especially with a limited resource. But it just seems to me this is a time of change in the way people might think about how society works. And one of the things, hopefully, they might start thinking, you know, in terms of, you know, people and policymakers, how important play actually is and how we have to give it more priority in society.
Yeah, thank you to all the speakers. I'm trawling now through funding streams and I'm finding it really difficult because one way or another you fit criteria, don't fit criteria. I wondered if any of the speakers or anyone could signpost us to you know, funding streams that can support out of school provision to improve their outdoor area. And you know, I secured some funding in 2010 but just haven't managed to do anything. We became a charity in 2016, and whilst I've had some success in funding, it's because, you know, it's really difficult to trawl through it all and find someone that really wants to support our area. I must say our local authority has not been so helpful in this. So
where are you based and what are you trying to run exactly?
We're in the London Borough of Enfield, and I've been running an after school club since 2003. We've had some very, very aggressive competition in the last 4 years, and of course the COVID, so we are struggling, and we feel a really good beneficial thing would be to develop our outdoor area and to be able to afford to take our children. There's a lot of sporting areas in the local area where we could afford to take the children to take part in things like tennis and cricket, football.
Have you thought about trying to go to Sport England?
No.
They may have done. They may have some sort of funding, something like that.
Yeah. I was signposted by Enfield to Grants Online website, but you have to pay for that, and a lot of the, you know, when you get to sort of looking into the Grants Online, they tend to be things like Children in Need or the lottery, and they're so big that they don't really consider our little organisation.
Have you tried awards for all, Mary? Have you tried awards for all from the lottery? It's £10,000 you can apply for. It's very easy.
I've heard of that one. I looked at that a while back, but we were doing really well because, you know, we were the only club in the area. But since we haven't been, we've watched a decline in our provision. So yeah, that's again. Thank you.
Part of the part of the new websites that we're putting up, Mary, will be a whole load of stuff for play workers and a big load of stuff about funding. So I wonder if after this meeting I could chat to the speakers who presented and collate some of the funders that gone to and get a bit of advice from them. I'll make sure that's, if they're happy with that, I'll make sure some of those stories, that case studies, are on the website so you can access that as well. But we can just stay in touch as well, and I can pass that stuff on to you.
Can I add something,
please,
for you, Mary, as well? Can I add something? I don't know how to put on my hand. I can so sympathize with you. I was in the same position, literally small organization, overlooked by everybody. But one thing that two things I've used to our advantage is actually knowing our uniqueness. So what is special about Max Roach, and being really clear about the benefits of this space to the community that we provide the service to, and using social media to push out what we do has attracted people to us. And I was one of these people, literally, like, now I don't have time for a Facebook post, but now I actually schedule a Facebook post or a Twitter post because people are watching, and actually people came to us because they saw that we was delivering. So I would recommend try to up your presence within an already busy schedule. I know.
Thank you. Yeah, we've kind of developing our Instagram page now, but
Just one a week. Start with one a week, and when you start getting attention, you're going to be pushing out more.
yeah, thank
We
you.
need-
Okay. Shalina, you've got your hands up. Can I pass over to you?
Hello, good morning. My question was very similar to Steve's, or I suppose point, was just the organisations that are not funded by the local authority, what actions may you be taking to actually showcase and show the local authority what they have potentially missed out on and such the fantastic great work that you are doing with children and young people? And secondly, I think Candice just mentioned it, and in her second update, is all those people that have created interest and all those parents that have shown appreciation, passion, how are you trying to incorporate them to become volunteers or friends of in the future, that if we have any struggles, we can reach out to them to maybe get funding from networks that they may have, or to also get support when you need support for extra people on the ground?